Live deliciously, everybody.
Ah,
This is Exploited, the show where we talk about exploitation and cult movies. I'm Alexis Chowsky.
and which one's turned me into a newt, but I got better. I'm Kevin.
This week we're talking about The Witch, 2015, directed by Robert Eggers.
What went we out into this wilderness to find? Leaving our country, kindred, our fathers' houses. For what? For the kingdom of God. Let us pray.
You've cursed this family.
Who's there? Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin. For I repentant now shall be. From evil I will turn to thee. None ever shall destroy my faith. For I repentant now shall be. Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin. For I repentant now shall be. From evil I will turn to thee.
Let us leave the wood.
So Robert Eggers, amazing, phenomenal director, came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was saying that his stuff he's directed has all been very well received.
Yeah, he just came out of nowhere with this movie. And he does very slow psychological films.
Which is typically the kind of movie I like.
Oh yeah, you'd love it. He did this. He did The Lighthouse, which is something you would love.
Yes, that is on my short list of movies to watch.
Yeah, it's a slow plodding film with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in a lighthouse.
Yep.
He did The Northman, which that also has the Viking stuff that you love.
Yep.
And coming soon, he's doing an adaptation of Nosferatu that's out soon.
That definitely sounds like something I would vibe with.
Yeah. We are starring Anna Taylor-Joy as Thomasin. And I love this woman. She is amazing.
We're watching this movie, and I go to my wife, I'm like, that's the voice of Princess Peach.
That is the voice of Princess Peach.
You would never guess it. Not in a million years watching this movie.
Right after The Witch, she was in Split. She was the female lead in M. Night Shyamalan's Split. And therefore, she was also in the sequel Glass. And she has had an amazing run lately because she was in Last Night in Soho, The Menu, Super Mario Brothers, Furiosa.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I need to.
Me too. I'm waiting for streaming.
Nah.
But she plays Furiosa, and apparently she hated that movie.
Really?
She said that was the worst time she's ever had on a set, that it was just miserable for her.
Because of the filming conditions, or because she hated the movie, or?
Mostly the conditions.
I would imagine with the desert.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of brutal.
But Anna Taylor-Joy is just an amazing actress. God blessed us with this woman.
I mean, I'm not super familiar with her outside of a couple of things, but I did enjoy her performance as Peach in Mario Brothers. I feel like I like the charm she brought to that character.
We have Ralph Ineson as William. He is a British actor in British movies.
One of the greatest voices ever.
Oh, he's got a good voice. He plays the Green Knight in the recent adaptation of The Green Knight, which,
Right.
if you like this movie, you'll like The Green Knight.
I should see that.
It's very much the same vibe as this movie.
Green Knight, obviously based on the Arthurian legend.
Yep, which you know plenty about.
Yep. So, it sounds like fun.
Ralph Ineson, he was in the last 3 Harry Potter films as a character named Amicus Caro.
Cool name, don't remember the character.
Yeah, my love for Harry Potter died a while back, along with my memory of it, so I can't recall him.
Yeah.
He plays Father Brennan in The First Omen, and he is going to be playing Galactus in the upcoming Marvel Fantastic Four.
Perfect. He's got such a great deep voice that it's going to be like perfect for that.
He's got the voice for a Galactus.
Certainly does.
Katie Dickey has Catherine. We previously saw her in Prevenge. She was Ella, the businesswoman.
Yeah.
She was the one that was in Game of Thrones as batshit Lisa Aaron.
Yeah.
She is also in The Green Knight, has Queen Guinevere.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We have Wahab Chantry, aka Daniel Malik, has human Black Phillip.
Yeah, not the goat.
No, the goat is played by Charlie the Goat. Charlie plays Black Phillip. And
Good performance from Charlie the Goat there.
He does great stuff.
He is the goat, one might say.
But apparently he was violent and uncooperative on set. He broke Ralph Ineson's ribs at one point.
I mean, did you see the performance?
Yeah.
Very method.
Ralph had to do the rest of the shoot with a dislocated tendon and on painkillers.
Jesus.
Director Robert Eggers has stated that he will never work with Charlie the Goat ever again.
Yeah, Charlie went a little too method.
Charlie has retired from acting and he now lives on a farm in North Carolina. So yeah, that goat. So before we get into the episode, you can find all of our episodes at www.exploititpodcast.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give us a like, a rating, a review, an emoji.
A goat emoji.
A goat emoji. That's perfect, yeah. Follow us on Instagram at Exploit It Podcast or on Twitter at Podcast Exploit. You can also join our Exploit It Discord. It's just Exploit It. The link is on the website. Or you can contact us at exploititpodcast@gmail.com. So we watched this on Max, right?
Yep.
So you can pause this podcast, go watch the movie, which you should. It's an amazing movie.
Yes, it's very good.
And you can come back and listen to us then, or you can just listen as we spoil everything. Just live deliciously, you know?
That's right.
So this is from A24, which is my favorite distribution company. Production, distribution.
Basically, you hear of any cool indie movies, they're probably distributing it.
Yep. They used to do just horror, but they've expanded out recently. They did that Iron Claw movie at the end of last year.
Oh, okay.
Which, it's a wrestling movie. But it's got Zac Efron in it.
I mean, you can make good wrestling movies. See The Wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
It's a phenomenal film.
So The Witch, it starts and it tells us The Witch, a New England folk tale. And we start with this tight shot on Anna Taylor-Joy's character, Thomasin. As we're hearing, basically her dad's on trial in a Puritan church house.
Right.
He disagreed with the church over something.
The church probably not hardcore enough for this guy, judging by how he reacts to the to the people in the church.
It's one way or the other. They're either too hardcore or not hardcore enough.
It's a doctrinal dispute.
The Puritans banished people for oh, this woman had read the Bible. We need to banish her.
Yes.
It didn't take much to cross the Puritans. So we don't ever actually get what the nature of the dispute was.
Right.
And we do need to note the language used in this film. The accent, yes. The dialect, because this is 1630s New England.
It is gloriously poetic and beautiful, and I loved
You loved every moment of it?
The language so much.
Eggers worked a lot with historians to get everything right with this. the sound, the feel, everything. Like, all the tools they use are period appropriate, everything. He was meticulous. And he did all of his casting from England because those accents were closer to what would have been the dialect in Puritan New England.
Right.
The words they say sometimes come across gibberishy, but I don't know. I've read Shakespeare. I'm used to this kind of old-ass dialect.
Yeah.
I'm used to the thous, you know? Alright, so, this family, they're on trial. Well, William's on trial, but really it's the whole family.
Right.
And they get banished, and
William doesn't care. William, whatever the dispute was, William is perfectly happy to get the fuck out of there.
yeah, well, I'm gonna go make a better fucking farm. Fuck you guys.
With blackjack and hookers back. Forget the farm. No, that's not.
But
That's not how that works. But the general vibe is there.
But generally, banishment was a death sentence for them, because of the inhospitable and untamed Northeast.
Turns out the New England in the winter is kind of a vicious place.
Yeah, and if the Indians didn't get you, the elements definitely would.
Right. Usually the elements.
Like, you always hear about, like, Roanoke, that lost colony.
Yeah.
And there's always a lot of, like, mystery and horror, but most historians agree they just weren't prepared.
No. And any of the remainder who survived probably just interbred with the natives, and
Yeah.
that was that.
So you are banished from this plantation's liberties. Thomason has a hard time believing this at first.
Yeah.
And the rest of the family's like, come on, Thomason. Because what's interesting about Thomason, she's the oldest child. She's like, what, 14, 15 or so?
Yeah, she's a teenager.
Yeah, young teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, Anna Taylor-Joy was 19 when she saw this, but she don't look 19.
No.
But she's the only child that remembers where they were before in England.
Right, yeah. They're from England, so hence the...
Yeah, they're from England. They came here to New England, and now they're banished to the wastelands. Well,
the functional equivalent of the wasteland.
the lushlands.
The lushlands.
But she still remembers England. She's the only child that does. Because they got a bunch of kids.
Yes.
Back before you had contraceptives,
Also, they're Puritans, so even if they could, they would just be like, infinite. And also, you need lots of children, usually. This family has been blessed, I guess, no miscarriages and no dead children up until...
Well, until the course of this movie.
Yeah, until the starting point as of the starting point of this film.
So, there's an interesting shot where they're leaving, and they close the walls on this plantation.
Mm-hmm.
But they pass the Indian traders that they're allowing them in. Like, this very insular society. Like, William can't be a part of this because he disagrees with some minor religious tenet.
Right.
But, these Indians come right on.
Oh, they have stuff we need.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out, capitalism.
So they set out to camp in the woods. They take their little wagon out there. And the music is horrifying, discordant swelling.
Yes.
It's later in my notes. I'll get to the music later.
Okay.
So they spend the night in the woods. They get quite a ways away from this plantation before they finally find a place where it's like, oh look, we found a flat meadow and there's a creek nearby. Let's build our home here now, next to the spooky forest.
Yeah, the not foreboding at all forest.
And then finally, Thomason speaks. We get this shot of Thomason, and she's praying. She's got her hands together and everything. Really great shot. Like, if you look up this movie, you're going to find that shot.
Everything in this movie is pretty.
Her prayer is significant. She says, I confess that I've lived in sin. I've been idle of my work, disobedient of my parents, neglectful of my prayer. I have in secret played upon my Sabbath and broken every one of thy commandments in thought. So basically, she's been a normal human being.
Like, who did you murder in thought? I want to know. Dish, girl, dish.
Her shitty mom? I don't know.
Maybe. Or maybe one of the kids back at the...
Oh, those kids are terrible, though. Her siblings?
Her siblings, yeah. Or maybe just, like, some random back at the plantation, or who knows.
But it really plays into the oppression of religion.
Yeah, and that is one of the themes of this movie.
Because what she's confessing to are normal things that everybody does. Especially at her age.
More specifically, the oppression of this very conservative religion.
Yes. Well, also, patriarchy.
Right.
We'll get more about that. This film is big about patriarchy.
Right, because that was both just generally the culture of the time, but also especially amongst this particular group of people.
What's interesting, if you look at discourse about this film, men are like, oh, well, it's good, but, women absolutely love it. It speaks to a different thing for women.
Definitely the big theme I got from this movie, and there's a few, but the big one I drew was definitely about original sin and, what it means to be growing up as a woman in this film. Because this is basically her just starting to enter puberty.
Yeah, this is definitely about women growing up in the patriarchy.
And so as Thomasin becomes an adult, she's at that nexus of child and adult. And so that's kind of where this movie's crux lies.
There is a line shortly after this scene where the mom says something along the lines of Thomasin has begun to become a woman, like show the signs of womanhood, meaning basically menarche.
Yeah, and as her brother keeps checking her out.
Yeah, and we'll get into that when it becomes more blatant.
Slowly looking at her chest. Not that she's got much there, but
yeah,
he's obviously very repressed as well.
But Thomasin says, I know I deserve all shame and misery in this life and everlasting hellfire, which is just terrible.
That was the Calvinist. So the hellfire and brimstone creatures of that era. You have to remember, even early Catholicism doesn't really focus very much. The concept of hell, like as we think of it today, it's not a modern invention, but comparative to Christianity as a religion, is relatively modern.
Oh yeah, because that's rather recent, within the last millennia.
Yeah, about 500 or 600 years or so. I would say about that was more of a Protestant thing. So post Reformation, and so you have the Pilgrims or Calvinists that emigrated from England because of their more extremist religious beliefs.
Yeah.
Share a very heavy fire and brimstone sort of attitude towards Christianity, and they are very big on, we are born sinners, we are horrible and evil, only but through the grace of God can we find any means of salvation.
Well, it's interesting about the Puritans is they were too extreme for the Church of England. That's why they fled England. But they originally went to the Netherlands.
Right.
Then all of their children started hanging out with these Dutch people and taking on their ways of life. And the parents were like, well, we can't have that. We need to go someplace where there is no other influence at all. And so they boarded up on the Mayflower and moved to someplace where there would be no other influence. And they could have total control over everybody's lives.
Except, of course, the natives, but
I mean...
Fuck them, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you hear in school, oh, they fled here for religious freedom. No, they fled here to practice religious oppression.
Well, I mean, freedom to practice their oppression.
Yeah, freedom to oppress.
Yes.
But Anna Taylor-Joy is amazing from the second she appears. I can't speak even more positive about her. You know what I mean?
The whole cast is great.
Yep. And so Thomasin, she's playing peekaboo because now they have a baby Samuel.
Yep.
Who has been born since they left the plantation. Because there was a time jump. Because now they have an actual farm going here.
Yep.
Not successfully.
I can say in so much that it is, but yes, technically speaking.
And so she's playing peekaboo with baby Samuel. And she's covering her eyes and playing peekaboo, and then at one point she opens her eyes and he's gone. Just fucking vanished. And peekaboo, you're not keeping your eyes closed for minutes at a time.
No.
This baby vanishes in a... But back to the story, Catherine is devastated by the loss of her baby, understandably.
Understandably, yeah.
Spends a lot of time sobbing and praying. She barely gets out of bed.
Right.
And I think we should address who all the kids in this family are now. There's Thomasin.
Yep.
There's her younger brother, Caleb.
Right.
There's the twins, who are horrible.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Mercy and what was the boy's name? Jonas. Jonas and Mercy. And then there was baby Samuel, but baby Samuel is obviously no more. And all of the children sleep on the attic, on the floor.
Right.
And so Caleb is real quiet. He dresses, he goes out to see his father. And I love the dialogue. 'Tis no ease to rise on a grey day. The devil holds fast your eyelids.
I'm like, yep, that is exactly what happens to me on grey days.
Yeah, but even Caleb, this little kid, just, God gives you good morrow, father.
Yes. That's just how they talked.
But basically the dad's like, well, now that I got you alone, let me tell you how shit is. We ain't gonna look for your little brother no more. Okay, that baby dead.
Yeah.
Oh, a wolf probably got him.
We've tried. We've tried for a week. It's if he didn't get eaten, he is starved to death at this point.
So also our farm sucks. Okay,
Yeah.
Our corn is garbage. So we're gonna go out and hunt. You know, we need food to last the winter, and if we can't grow it, we gotta capture it.
Yep.
He says, we will conquer this wilderness. It will not consume us, or so he thinks.
Which is, again, that's part of the theme: the nature versus modernity, the mood, the idea of taming the wilderness, the kind of oppressive nature of modern society versus the freedom of nature.
And so Caleb and William, as they're going through the woods, checking like the traps that he's set for animals.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb is very, devout. He goes, I was born in sin and inequity. Adam's sin imputed to me, and a corrupt nature dwells within me. It goes through just the whole Puritanism thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Dad's like, good, yes, you are a terrible, horrible human, and the only way, it's a horrible way to look at life.
But it's not just, just Caleb, everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
The dad himself was like, I'm a terrible fucking sinner too.
Yeah.
We're all terrible sinners, but for the grace of God, we're going to burn in hellfire for all eternity.
Caleb brings up, was Samuel also born a sinner? Well, yeah, we're all born sinners. So is that baby in hell? Because he wasn't baptized,
Right.
And Dad is, well, he doesn't want to, just flat out give the Puritan line of, yeah, your brother burns in hell. He's like, well, we pray for him, but we ain't gonna fucking talk about this no more, okay?
Right. He's trying to protect his son.
He tries to be a good dad. I can't fault William that much.
Within the context of the society he was born and raised in, he does his absolute damnedest to be a good parent.
Yeah. I mean, the patriarchy is not his fault.
Nope.
And so they, and William also confesses that, I traded your mother's silver cup in order to get hunting supplies. Don't tell anybody, okay?
Right.
I'll tell her eventually, but just keep that on the lowdown.
Yeah, keep it on the DL for now. We'll deal. That's a problem for future William.
Mm-hmm. And so they find a rabbit. That we'll see plenty of this rabbit.
Yeah.
And
I'm convinced it's actually a rabbit, incidentally.
Exactly, right? And so he gets his 6-foot-long fucking flintlock rifle here. This thing's huge.
Yep.
It takes time and patience, and then it just ends up misfiring anyway.
Yeah. Misfiring at that rabbit.
Yeah.
That we'll see later.
So there could be supernatural interference by Mr. Rabbit, or it could also be that he just doesn't quite know what he's doing.
Right.
Because, when you're on a plantation like that, you have people that all have specialized skills.
Right.
It's not one person doing everything. And so maybe William was good at one specific task, but hunting wasn't his bag. But now that they're banished, he has to do everything on his own and figure it out as he goes along.
Right. That could be.
But meanwhile, we get to meet more of Jonas and Mercy, who are singing around to Black Phillip, the goat. And they have it's an unreasonable stack of firewood, by the way. That it really provides kind of a metaphor of he's crushed by his own suppressed emotions.
Yeah.
That it's his stress cutting wood that kills him.
Yeah.
So Mom comes out all crazy. And she's like, you fucking goddamn witch, you reek of evil, you're smeared with sin. Calls her a slut and a whore.
Yep.
And Thomason really has no choice but to take Mom out with the billhook.
Yep. I mean, her mom's choking her out. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what you going to do? And the billhook's right there. Takes her out like Bay of Blood.
Yeah, I mean, your choice is die or defend yourself. Like, you defend yourself, right? Like,
so Thomason, it's just her now. Her whole family gone.
Yeah.
And so she decides to change her clothes and take a nap at a table. And at night she goes out with a candle to like try to talk to Black Phillip.
Right.
She's like, do you actually talk, or are my brother and sister full of shit? And the goat's like, oh no, I talk.
Yeah, what the fuck do you want?
Would thou like the taste of butter, a pretty dress? Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Yes.
I love that line.
Yeah, I like the voice performance from Black Phillip here. It is like soothing and unnerving. It's like how you'd think the devil would speak to you.
But live deliciously doesn't mean live free of sin. It means just free of patriarchy. It's not like living in fucking hedonism.
Well, it depends. I mean, that is also one option.
Well, the two things he prefaces live deliciously with are butter and a dress.
It's true.